Yeah, I love ya. Everyone, blessed Wednesday. Yes, the power of you. The power of you. You have the power to be great. Thank you all for joining me today in the power of you. Today we're talking about if rain don't fall, corn won't grow. We've had a lot of rain happening, physical rain, emotional rain, things coming down. So this is a time for us to acknowledge that there are blessings everywhere, and what may seem to be a no is a yes, and someone what seems to be a yes is a no, is a hell no. So this is the power of you, reminding you that the power to be great is within you. So do not walk away from it. Discontinue your connection to you. If rain don't call, if rain don't fall, corn won't grow. That's the Odu of Ose Irosun. It happens to be my roots reading, which was done like 40 something years ago. And Ose Irosun, I love that Odu because every time that I hear it, I remember my Odu. I remember how far I've come, or I remember how deep I need to go. So if rain don't fall, corn won't grow means there is no bad in life without the good stuff. There's a time for everything. This is happening down here. It says remove something? No. No, there you go. Yes. There's a time for everything. Everything has its season. Sometimes there's a time for everything in life. Sometimes we all go through a season of suffering, a season of doubt, a season of pressure, discontent, and we're looking at it as, oh, this is all bad, but it's not. This is wherever the season is. Just know where it is and you will benefit from it. Okay? And so there are some times that are designed by spirit to lead you to a reawakening, a rebirthing, a resurrection. There are times that we're going through, look at what we're going through in our lives right now. It's always been like that. It's always been some new situation coming, be it physically, emotionally, politically, sexually, and it's always about rebirthing. So the spirit gives us these times for us to reawaken, to rebirth, and have a resurrection. And when that season is over and that test has passed, then you'll see God's mercy on you. That's when we'll see God's mercy on you. And so spirit, Orisha, ancestors, God, wouldn't they wouldn't let you go through these things without a strategic way of you going to turn out or how it's going to come out. Look at spirit. That's why when we pray and we ask for something, we may be talking about affirming something or in desperation or just giving thanks. The answer is not about what you asked for, is what it is that spirit has already had planned for us moving forward. So whether you say it's the ancestors, God, or Olodumare, or Ser, whoever, Orisha, Allah, Buddha, wouldn't let you go through trials if it didn't have already a strategic reward for you. So the rewards are always more than you could imagine. And so for me, when I look back and trying to reconnect to the things that are happening and have happened in my life, I look at my book, The Living Shrine, in chapter 13. It talks about when my mother left me, my brother and my sister in Panama, and to come to America to make a way for us to have the things that we grew up with, wishing that we had, and seeing what America was like. And my mother knew that this would mean an upgrade for us. And so when my mother had to leave us to take herself and us to the upgrade, I was there for 3 years. And it was rough. And as you see in chapter 13 of my book, I was in a place where It was the first time I had been separated from my brother and my sister. My sister was with me, but emotionally and mentally and spiritually, we had a disconnect. My mother was not there to reassure me that all of the insecurities that I was having in my upbringing, or some of the blessings that I saw, was not able to be there to uplift me and to support me, or to castigarme, right? And so it was a difficult time. That was a time for me of not knowing that I was going to be on a rebirthing. So it was a time of suffering. It was a season of doubt. It was a season of pressure of how are you going to survive without what it is that you know as your normal, of you being able to get in the bed with your mom, and whatever happened, that she would be able to hug you, and she would be able to take you to the market and give you the favorite fruits that she knew she had. And that I thought it was the end. And in that moment, not connecting myself, it was hard. It was very difficult. But who would know that the reward that God had for me? Because when my mother did send for us, it was 3 years later. I grew up in a different way. I used skills to survive in a different way. When I got to America, I came here in junior high school, and we happened to go to the World's Fair. And by going to the World's Fair, that was what I think it was like maybe about the second year that I've been here, we went to the World's Fair. And that's how I got introduced to who we all know as Yeyefini. That was where I met Olatunji, and then the man that I would later end up marrying and having children with. Who knew that pressure and that suffering and that thing, God already had a plan for me. And so by going there and connecting to spirit, in that chapter 13, it talks about how I first got introduced to the smell of Florida water, and how I got introduced to seeing people sit on an ancestral table, so that when I got to to America, to the US, and went to the World's Fair in Brooklyn, it was in Long Island, I think it was in Queens. And when I got there and saw and felt spirit touch me for the first time, and Olatunji said, "You're feeling the spirit of your ancestors." Who knew that God already had this little girl who had felt that, oh, the life is an ugly place? Not so much. Met Olatunji at the World's Fair. It was, it was the World's Fair, doing Drums of Passion. And the man I would soon marry was playing the shekere. Many years later, I ended up in a polygamous marriage with this man, and having 3 beautiful children raised in what would become my foundation of me being able to be on this platform and talk about life, talk about love, talk about polygamy. And so today, we are here to remind you that no matter how the rain don't fall, if rain don't fall, corn won't grow. It's sometimes inconvenient when it rains. But if without that, right now my garden was dry, and it's been raining for 2 days. My plants are screaming, yay! And so in God always having a plan for us, it means that whatever it is that you're going through, God have a plan, has an outcome for you. How did I end up learning how to divine? That I'm able to read some of you that's on this platform here. I'm able to do naming ceremonies, babies naming ceremonies, babies to help you if your child had passed. Ceremonies for elevation of your ancestors. Sometime I do a reading and there's a spirit that wants some elevation. How would I be able to help you? How would I be able to find my passion? How would I be able to find the thing that makes me wake up every day? Just being grateful for having a place that people can find solitude and hope in. It was because I had to go through that season of suffering, that season of doubt, that season of pressure, because in that pressure, I found my way. Right? So yesterday I was speaking and I was saying that in the moments when me as a priestess, as a Iyalode, I don't have the people who have initiated me in that are passed on. They're in Ibaitoru. They are ancestors. Because remember how old I am now, how young I am. Yes. And so I don't have a Yeyefini. I don't have a godmother that I can call and say, oh, this is a situation is going on in my home. Can you give me a reading? I don't have a Iyalosha to remind me that, remember, your Odu said that you would go through this. I don't have a godmother that would say, oh, in the midst of all of this and the pregnancy that you have, you're going to be fine. Just do the ritual, shift the way you're doing. Yeah. Someone is going to have surgery. Call your godmother and I don't have that. So the people who do readings for me in consultation, they're not my godparents. They're not who initiated me to this. They're not the ones that remember my Odu, that remember my story, that remember all of that, like I do with my godchildren. And sometimes I may not remember the name, but I surely remember the case. And I can say, oh yeah, I remember that case happened in whatever. I didn't have that. So I was feeling in a way like, damn, I was feeling like Oprah said, I was feeling mighty low. As a human being, you go through that. But if rain don't fall, corn don't grow. Time for everything. There is a time for everything. And so in feeling that, I'm like, I need a Yeyefini. I need a godmama. And I woke up this morning and boop, open up. After I did my morning prayers, I always wake up and say, thank God my eyes are open again. I guess when you're getting older, that's some of the things that you focus on is the gratitude that just you're awake. And I give thanks for this, and I go through my thing, and I do my Reiki on myself, and then before I speak to my Orisha, today I usually go straight to Obatala and and I opened up the my phone, and there was my godmother, Maya Angelou. Baby, whatever words have wings. When you state something, it goes out and it finds exactly what you say. That's why we have to be so conscious all the time of saying the things that we really want, and not just in a frustration claim something that is not really what you want or who you are. And that's my saying, I need a godmother. Here comes Maya Angelou. And I'm opening up, and she has this morning devotion. Baby, that morning devotion was the beast. I heard it, and I was listening to it, and I said, wait, let me go deal with my shrine. And I went out to Batala, did my meditation, got on the treadmill, and I put her on as my walking motivation. Because every time I walk, I have some meditation, a walking meditation that I do. If I'm walking outdoors, I have it in my ear. If I'm walking inside, then I'm on my treadmill. And so I'm on the treadmill, and she says, when you rise and enter, give your heart, what is it? When you rise, open your heart to the divine. The world must adjust its system to your peace. And the devotion was talking about when you wake up and all of the things that you tell yourself that are negative. The devotion is to look at what is happening to you and what is the glory of you. What is the thing that gives you soul. You're grateful for opening your eyes, even when you're feeling bad, giving thanks in that moment that you're connecting to God. So when you connect to God, God is listening to you. God is surrendering. God is giving you all that you want. So when you rise and you enter and give your heart to the divine, and you say, thank you, Orisha, and you go to pray, and it's not so much to say the words, but to internalize what it is that you feel when you're at your shrine, when you're still with yourself, when you're quiet, that moment before you get up. The world must adjust its system to your peace. You are not defined by your womb. You are shaped by your worship. Boop, boop, boop. When she was like, I was like, yeah, my godmama. Because you call your godmama when you want that kind of encouragement. And that's what it was, to just let me know. You are not defined by your wounds. You are shaped by your worship. And as human beings, we always have something that we're going back, which takes us back sometimes. And if you go too far, it'll take you, you'll be lost. But we have to reflect sometimes in just in the humanness of us. And if it's just that it's not happening the way you want it to be, how it wanted to be, with who you want it to be, you are not defined by what didn't happen. And so I just want to share that with y'all. And remember when Oshun in the Apateki of Ose Irosun, the same proverb that I was saying about my roots reading, that was my Odu. And when you have your roots reading, make sure that you keep that because you don't get but one roots reading from what I was instructed in my teachers, from my teachers, is you get one reading on your roots, your foundation. And that tells you who you are, baby. It tells you who your folk is. How you going to live? And so if we remember the Odu, I said it before in one platform or something. If not, this is your first time hearing. The Odu of Ose Irosun, which is the Odu that my roots reading wasn't talked about. You can't have bitterness without sweetness. My entire book is about that, the bitterness, and then I share with you the sweetness. And it's just to let those who are in search of this faith, or instead of any faith reading, just something to encourage you on a spiritual path. It's always about how you can become discouraged, but God's source is always there lifting you up. So the Odu of Ose Irosun talks about when Oshun had twins, right? And she was the first one to have twins during that time. Today in Yoruba land, everybody have twins. I think there's a thing that says that in Yoruba land, there are most twins in the world are born in Yoruba land. They say it must be about the yam or the soil or something. But anyway, she had these two children, right? And in her having these two children, two of the babies, people would look at her and say, oh my God, she's been sleeping with two men. Because only during that time, this particular monkey had two babies together, only had two. And most animals will have one, some animals will have two. So they say she was cheating on her husband. She had babies from two different men. Look at ignorance, right? And so it just broke her down. She was like, oh my God, I have been wanting to be pregnant and I have these twins. And now I'm being ridiculed. I'm being squeezed. I am under pressure. I am depressed. I'm in suffering. I'm in doubt. How am I going to raise these babies? She got so distraught that her mother, Yemonja, had to raise the babies. And she wandered the world trying to find her joy, trying to find out how could the people that I was around could be that mean to me. And her mother said, I will take care of the babies because I'm sure that God has a bigger reason for this. And so, as the story goes, Olodumare, in her suffering, in her wanting, Olodumare, and I'm sure about her mother, Yemonja, saying, Baba, Iyao, because Olodumare is both male and female, please give my daughter another child. But, of course, she doesn't know she's going to have twins again. And so Shango was the king at the time, and he says, wait, this woman was fathered by my seed. And she has twins. And from now on, because her child, she was married to me, I am the king, I'm making a decree that as of today, twins are considered special, powerful, because they came to life from me and her. And so Olodumare, in its wonderfulness, gave her another baby. The next time she got pregnant, she had one baby, and that baby's called Idowu. Is the child that's born after the twins, is the child that's given to the mother to dry her tears. So look how good God is. Just as I was suffering for my mother and I had tears for my mother, I got this glorious culture where I can have as many babies, as many children, as many godchildren, as many priests and priestesses to help me when I need help, by taking me to the United States of America, where I met the culture. I got my first feeling of spirit shaking me. It's in my book. And so for those of you who are interested in finding the deeper parts of this culture and why is it that we do certain things, join me on my Ore IIASK platform. It's a platform that every third Thursday I'm giving class on a subject, a Orisha, an aspect, and then we have worship service. If you want to know more about that. And if you want to know the beauty of this culture and why is it that our culture, we are considered the children of Oduduwa. We are the descendants of Oduduwa in the creation story. Oduduwa was the one who came and formed on earth. And so if you want to know more about this culture, my webinar is coming up on the 5th of June. Polygamy, the math, the myth, the math, and the magic. You don't want to miss that. One of the reasons and one of the pressures and one of the things that made me decide, let's do a webinar, which is a fundraiser for my temple, because all of my webinars are front table. Because I don't do the Ask Yeyefini show anymore. We're now doing this for now, is my webinars. If you want to know the history of polygamy, why of polygamy, what if you want to know the mystery of it, the magic of it, what do we need that today? Is it necessary? How can someone who is interested in or who is in an almost or in deep polygamous situation, seeing, is it relevant to us today? Can we make it work? I am going to share some of the things that I went through in the 14 years that I had been married and giving birth to 3 children in polygamy and raising them, and the effect and the affect of it. And that's part of our culture. It's part of the things that our ancestors did. And to learn why not? Why does it make sense? And when it makes all of the sense. So join me so that you will learn a little more about our culture and our systems. But remember, if rain don't fall, corn don't grow. So if we don't have things that are happening to us to get our attention, we will never know the beauty of what life is. We won't be able to evolve as beings of the highest expression of the divine. So thank you so much today for coming as we honor Ose Irosun. Everything in life has its season. Everything in life has its season. There's a time for monogamy. There's a time for polygamy. There's a time for actually polyandry. Join us so you can learn, or not even learn, but to add to it. I want the men and women to be and ask questions, and raise your hand and ask me questions and add to the conversation. If you're polygamous, join me. You will not be discouraged. Trust me, you will be enlightened as to the magic, the math, the why, the reasons. Join me. So right now, as we always go into, before we leave, we have a couple of minutes that we're going to do a deep meditation in going back to our spirits, going back to the thing that reminded us that when we are in pressure. So if you are under pressure right now and you feel that this is it, do not, you are not defined by your wound. You are shaped by your worship. So worship you. Give yourself the time to worship the God, the goddess, the sign, the energy that lives in you. Doing your work, connecting to spirit, giving thanks, and having your morning meditation. This is what your morning devotion, waking up, honoring God, giving God thanks, and setting your platform so that the world will have to adjust itself to this great person that's coming to add to life. So I want you to take a nice cleansing breath, breathing in and breathing out. Take another cleansing breath, breathing in and then breathing out. And this last time, I want you just really to connect to the joy of this moment, this day, breathing in And breathing out. Knowing that everything has a season. Ose Irosun. Ogege igi agunla. Ogege igi agunla. Ọbàtálá gúngègé o, igi oro ló máa gún o. Ogege igi agunla. You're climbing. Ogege igi agunla. Ọbàtálá gúngègé o, igi oro ló máa gún o. You're climbing the tree of wisdom. You're climbing the tree of knowledge. You're climbing a new way of looking at your life, knowing that everything has a season. Ogege igi agunla. Epa! Ogege igi agunla. Ọbàtálá gúngègé o, igi oro ló máa gún o. Ogege igi agunla. Ogege igi agunla. Ọbàtálá gúngègé o, igi oro ló máa gún o. Ogege igi agunla. Climbing. Ogege igi agunla. Ọbàtálá gúngègé o, igi oro ló máa gún o. Ogege igi agunla. Ogege igi agunla. Ọbàtálá gúngègé o, igi oro ló máa gún o. Today, may you know that if rain don't fall, corn won't grow. And so allow the things that give you pressure or shift your perspective guide you into a place of peace. And remember, as Maya Angelou says, you are not defined by your wounds, you are shaped by your worship. So go forth, worship, and I will see you on the 5th at the webinar for polygamy. Have a blessed day.